Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'm looking away from the screen. And I will be your friendly lore master today. Today, we were going to be carrying on with our Legacy of the Crystal Shard campaign, our AD&D campaign, but unfortunately, partly due to other commitments, partly due to illness, and partly due to daylight savings, we are down a number of players. But fortunately, we have two players who have created characters for J.M. DeFogey's Jackals Bronze Age Fantasy RPG. So we thought we would introduce these two Jackals to each other, and then we would go on a short adventure today as a way of spending our time wisely. So why don't I'll go through, guys. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing today. First up, I've got Mo.
Hi, I'm playing Menktu, who is a former Egyptian chariot officer.
Gerwan.
The Egypt equivalent is a Gerwan, a chariot officer who is on the war road.
Excellent. And next up is Arlen.
Hi, I'm Arlen. I'm playing Gerard, who is a Luwathi, which are sort of the cognate of the Semitic tribes. He is a warrior, but he's looking for knowledge, searching for ancient lore and all that sort of stuff on the war road.
Love it. And there are the scribes, the Luwathi scribes, who are in search of this stuff. It is the Hashir. And there's actually a center. I was reading last night, between last session and today, I was telling the guys before we went live that I dove in and got into every nook and cranny I could find in the book to scour as much more information about the setting as I could. I've also loaded some more information into our Roll20 game as well. So one of the things that I found is that there is a city let's see here, I'm just going to move you guys over here. I've also loaded two of the regional maps that we've got, the northern reaches and the southern reaches. Now, there is an error on the map, unfortunately, and Orsum Val and Orsum Catan are actually swapped. They have the different names, and there's a place called Orsum, I think it's called Orsum Vori, which is right up here, that isn't named on the map. Yeah. Small errors, but it doesn't really matter. Rataro, though. In Amina Nawani is the one of the two great kind of cities of the Luwathi in the Zaharets and along the War Road. The scriptorium in Amina Nawani is one of the largest, places and receptacles of knowledge. But Rataro is very, very close because it not only does it have a bunch of Hashim, the scholars who try and scour at whatever information they can, that the secrets that lie in the ruins of the Land of Risings. It's actually built on top of a repository of knowledge as well. So Rataro is some other neat things about the region here. I'll tell you, Mikro is built by the Crow Ryla, is the settlement of the Melkoni, and Mikro is sort of like the second largest settlement of Melkoni in the region. Each of the regions called Orsem is a name for some kind of repurposed ancient fortress. So like Orsum Catan, Orsum Val, Orsum Hones, and Orsum Yahan are all different, each has a different kind of character to it, but they're all built by the same culture. And it's one of the scholars, the Hashim scholars may be able to suggest who that might be, but the green walls that characterize them suggest it might be the Sea Peoples, the long-lost Sea Peoples who once came here. The one exception to that is the Orsum Vori is actually built by the Luwathi. That is not something that is part of the other Orsem regions. The Bartak, anything with the name Bartak, is a former Takan. It was part of Barak Barad, part of the Chaos, the Agents of Chaos. And I think and then Sentem is the other major settlement, the major city Otherwise, all along the war road in the larger map that we've seen before, all along here, that region is only part of this whole region we're covering, all of the Land of Risings. Okay, so what we're doing to start is we're just getting everyone's character set up here. So how is the filling out the character sheet going there, Mo?
I think I'm done.
Awesome.
I won't bother with the inventory and stuff because I know what we've got, and I've got that on the previous.
Just if you can put in, well, if you put in your weapon damage plus your melee bonus into your melee combat at the top, then so whatever.
Oh yeah, I've got all the skills and attributes and everything in, so that should actually work.
Right, no, but what? That's not what I just said. What I just said is the melee damage. If you could fill in the melee damage bit right at the top there, Mo, and then also if you've got, do you have a ranged weapon? You should have. Yeah, okay, so then fill in your ranged weapon damage as well, because that will roll for you.
Oh.
Yeah, no, and for those listening at home...
Yeah, it doesn't auto-calculate anything on the sheet.
No.
Because your boy is the one who made the sheet, and he doesn't know how to do any of that.
Arlen is the one who put together the sheet, and it is fantastic. Has made playing the game very, very easy. Oh, we've had someone. There's a viewer named Max who's going to be reaching out.
Yeah, he reached out to me on Discord, and I told him to email me, and I'm going to send him the sheet.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. As he posted, I think, on a comment and then also in chat yesterday too. So he seems eager to get his jackals to the table as well.
Yeah.
Can't say I blame him. Okay, blame them, I should say. I don't know if Max is a man or a woman. Let's see here. If you've got Mech 2 filled, or Mech 2 filled out, then?
Yep, I think so. Is there any way to put armor, or do we just?
Okay, Mo. What's your weapon damage? What's your melee weapon damage?
Would be a Kopesh.
Okay, so again, like you can put that number in the melee damage, and it will roll for you.
Yeah, right. So, hang on.
Yeah, because like we can change that if we did, but if you've only got one melee weapon, I don't know if you put your bow, your dagger in
primary.
Yeah, one of the things we noticed, or I noticed as well, is that the two not a good.
Oh, get it out of the way.
Yep. So one of the things I noticed as well is that if you are using, let's see here, a light weapon, the Kopesh is a heavy weapon, isn't it? It's a one-handed heavy.
Yes,
Okay, so
and I noticed that two-handed. Yep.
It's what? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, is the Kopesh one-handed or two-handed?
It's a one-hander, but it's heavy.
Heavy, right. Okay, so then what that means is you can't use that with another weapon. You can use it with a shield, but you can't use it with another... yeah. The medium weapons can be used with other weapons, and the reason you might want to do that is because if you're using two weapons, at least and both of them are medium or light, you get +1 clash point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I also noticed that using a two-handed weapon, you get 1 less clash point.
Yes. If you're using...
we didn't do last time. So the bow, because I'm down from 5 to 4.
Mo, that's only for melee. When you're using ranged weapons, you get +1. +1 clash point.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so you get +1 clash point if you're using ranged weapons. And if you're using a two-handed melee weapon, you get -1 clash point. So, okay, guys, why don't you guys introduce your characters to each other? Oh, and Gerard, you can heal yourself up to full as well, too. We're assuming that you've healed in the interim.
Cool. All right. I am Gerard. Like I said, I'm a Luathi. I am in search of knowledge. So, Mingtu, if you know anything about ancient ruins or like delving into ancient ruins and the different sort of stuff that has been left behind by previous civilizations, we got to do it for Alwayne is the name of our god, right? The Luwathi's god.
Alwayne, yep.
Alwayne, yeah, we got to do it for Alwayne and the priests and all that, so that they can protect us from Barak Barad's resurgence or something like that. So,
the thing with the the Takan and the other creatures of chaos, the Muathani. The Muathani are they were. Hold on, let's give Mektu. Would you give me a let's get the dice rolling here. An ancient history roll, please, or ancient lore.
Yeah.
See if you can get a tick on that to start with. Look at that! Pretty good. So you can't get a tick on ancient lore, but pretty good though. So here's what Menktu, what you know about this is that the Muathi or Muatheni, I should say, it was another one of those lost cultures, but they were said to be the enemies of the Grand Kingdoms. The Grand Kingdoms are another name for the Sea Peoples. They're the Hashim scholars. Am I getting that name right? Is it Hashim or Hashir? I'm trying to make sure I commit the nomenclature to memory here. Hashir. I thought I had that wrong. So the Hashir are the scholars. What they seem to think is that they refer to the kingdoms that were here, the ones that built those green domed structures or the green walled structures, that they refer to them as the Grand Kingdoms. They know there wasn't just one empire; there were multiple kingdoms, but the enemy of those Grand Kingdoms and the powerful magics beyond anything that anyone is capable of now were used to fight and defeat the Muatheni. Muatheni are allies of chaos, and they are also powerful workers of dark rites. So, what was my reason for mentioning that? I don't remember. I think it was just cool. So, Gerard, that is your reason for kind of walking the war road. How about you, Mektu? Why don't you tell Arlen what is Mektu's reason for walking the war road?
Well, effectively, I was on the wrong side of some internal politics, and I was exiled instead of having my head chopped off. My friend Mary, who was a priestess, tipped me off, and I'm decided to see if I can find some ancient culture and other things that could help me maybe buy my way back into the good favors of the not pharaohs, the pharaoh, the kings,
Kiani.
Kiani.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about
suspicions about what's happening there, but
Garwa is the empire of Barak Barad lasted for 500 years. So for 5 centuries, the Lawathi were enslaved by the other. 3 generations ago, they achieved freedom. The Garwa, in contrast, have been around for 5,000 years. The Garwa are one of the oldest, if not the oldest, persisting civilizations everywhere. They have only recently come out of a period of civil war, and under the rule of the current dynasty, now they're actually looking to expand, partly because they're also being pressed quite aggressively at their western border. There are savage, from their perspective, savage. They're wild tribes that live in the southwestern region, southwest of Ger, that are now pushing up against them. So there's sort of the resurgence and the rebirth of the monarchy, the external pressures, and the people who have gone through the civil wars. They're now sort of being pushed to come to the Zaharets. The Melkoni as well too. The wars between their city-states have grown even worse. So in the last 4 years in particular, it's been 30 years since Kryrola was established. So the Melkoni have been a presence here for as a colony for quite some time, but they're now actually even more so in the last 4 years. There's whole cities and regions that are emigrating here because of the continued persisting violence in the Melkoni city-states. So
Barak Barad, was it just in the Zaharets, or did it spread out further?
Just in the Zaharets, but it is kind of a legacy kingdom from the from further west, or further east, I'm sorry. To the east, there are other things that are like what the Hashir could tell you about is some of the other lost people. There are the Great Kingdoms. There are their enemies, the Moathi. There is another group called the Han, which are said to have come from the moons. They descended from the moons and existed here. And there are others that are even more, well, we don't have names for them any longer, or at least your characters don't have any recollection or living names of them, but they existed as well. And to varying degrees, only some of these civilizations were physical beings. Some were beings of from what are called the Silent Lands, the lands that you pass into after the grave, or the things that the agents from the gods or whatnot come from. And some are quasi-physical and spiritual. And the legacy of all of those periods is something you see and live with all the time. You know, one of the things that a shrine built by one of the Grand Kingdoms, I'll just show you here, is the Temple of the Morning Lord. Temple of the Morning Lord was built by one of the Grand Kingdoms, but those who venerate Alwayn see massive power coming from that region. They can actually wield rites and magics without expending any devotion points.
Ooh.
But passing that much power through them can actually burn them from the inside out. And you can start taking, mechanically, you can start taking damage from it. But it's a curious anomaly that a site holy to, or at least built in clearly in veneration to some long-forgotten god, is actually responding to a god that whose prophetess had only seemingly appeared 3 generations ago.
Oh. And there was no Alwayn before that she was like the first, and it wasn't like one god in a pantheon that got elevated or something. It was just she showed up and started.
For what the Lowathi believe is that the Alwayn created the universe, created everything, and that the Lowathi are Alwayn's favored people. However, which is why there are Lowathi who worship other gods, the Garwan gods, or the some of the newer gods that were brought by the Melkoni. Melkoni have a demigod and 2 gods. Ryla is the goddess of love and battle, and there is, I think his name is Amon. It's the, can't remember what it's called. It's the god of the sky. It's Ryla's father. Sort of a Zeus analog. Eraton. Eraton is the Lord of the Sky. And then Ryla's son is... what's his name? Lycos, or Lycos. Lycos is the one who founded Corryla and defeated these giants that came down from Vorivana, the mountains in the up here. They're also, to give you guys a little more information about the some of the magic of the setting as well, too. Both of the woods, the Aoko woods in the south, and the Ligna Huala, the Ligna forest in the north, have, are rife with magical power. The Hashir will suggest that the spirit behind that drives the Ligna Huala, it had some ancient pact with the Lowathi that's been forgotten to time, but in the recent years, things have gotten much more dangerous, and it is not safe for people to head in to the Ligna Huala. For some reason, the woods have turned against them. And as for the Aoka Woods, there was a tribe called I think it's the Black Arrow tribe, that was a Takan. A group of Takan warriors, basically, left over from Barak Barad. And the ruler of Sentem, the region in the south there, when they came down, they drove them out, and it's said that some of them have taken up in the Oko Woods. And that has likewise grown dangerous. It's said to there are blooms of things called corpse flowers. There are Takan that are known to, live in the woods, which is not helped by the fact that Bartek Kentak, one of the former Takan strongholds, its ruins are right on the border. And not for nothing, Aoka Woods as well claimed the heir to the chieftainhood or the ruler of Sentem as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots going on here, and then as well too, it's rumored that there are massive. The only word they have for them are mansions built along in the Ahule Asa, the massive mountains that divide the Lawasa Desert from the Zaharets. So you're asking where some of the other ones. The Lawasa Sands is where the Truage, the wild and passionate desert folk that live out there, the Truage characters. This is where they generally come from, is in the Lawasa Sands. But Ruin Keta is one of those fallen kingdoms of chaos. They said there's other ruins that lurk out here. The Vori Wastes are also something that is said to have been laid waste by the holy fire of Alwyn. Though none yet alive can speak to that. So there's a lot going on, in the world, and I wanted to get a better sense of what the actual, what the setting is, and to help you guys situate where you think your characters are and where you're going. But where you're going today, guys, is why don't you tell me how do you think you guys picked up together? How do you think that Menktu and Gerard picked up? It doesn't really matter. We don't need a whole backstory. But why do you think the two of them would have fallen in together? Fellow warriors, maybe?
Well, presumably after my first adventure with the Truge woman, I was recuperating in a nearby town, maybe, where Gerard actually passed through, and we decided to hook up for protection on the road.
Yeah, and that makes excellent. So you guys were heading, like the way that I'm sort of picturing our pickup Jackals games is like Conan stories, where we don't really need to have, we can have a connection between them, and if we do end up playing this game more regularly, then we can figure out, the passage of time. There's a full calendar in here. There is a downtime mechanic that happens in the rainy season that I think is a pretty cool thing, and it's the game talks about how that's intended to be part of the play. But for now, what we're picking up with, guys, is our two heroes, Menktu and Gerard. You are walking up at the end of a long day's journey toward the city, or the village, of Jabalam. This is Jabalam. You can see there is the winding story. Let me give you your character sheets, or your tokens as well. Boom. Go. And Menktu. So, you guys are making your way up towards this winding, walled village. Now, the Jabalam is very representative of a lot of the towns that make up the that you'll find along the war road in the coastal regions of the Zaharets. The path to Jabalam from the main road is steep and winding. The walled village sits on the edge of the Ahule Asa on a defensible cliff face overlooking the war road. Several times your heart stops at the sheer drop of the cliff face you walk along. Soon, you and your pack pass through the gate of Jabalam and into the town. Now, it is quiet. The everyday noises that you would expect are muted. And the bright sun, muted in the bright noon sun. Towards the center of town. This is not the bustling kind of town that you would, or the bustling activity you would expect in most of these kinds of towns along the war road. But toward the center of town sits a short, round building made of green stone, much like those you find in many Lawathi villages. And that maybe is a point of interest for you, Gerard. Clearly something dating from the time of the Grand Kingdoms, or perhaps even older. So as you guys are walking in, the town is full of mud brick buildings and rough wooden walls. You can see, however... Why don't you guys each give me a perception check as you're making your way through, please? Okay, 67 from Gerard. Nice. So you can put a tick next to that. And 36, okay. Both of you guys can tick off perception. So what you guys can pick up... and you guys have had let's say, 4 or 5 days on the road together, so you've had a chance to get to know each other a little bit. Mektu, you definitely have more experience in a formal army, it sounds like, but both of you make your, living by the blade. One of the things you notice as you're making your way through Jabalim is that there are no children in the streets. The second thing you notice is people talking in kind of hushed and almost conspiratorial tones. It's that proverbial, as you're making your way through, people are talking, they see you, and then kind of step inside their houses and close the door. And the other thing you notice is that there are guards in town, which is not uncommon, but they all seem to be traveling in groups. There's not a point where you see any one of the individual guards, and they're just wearing leather armor. My stats for guards here too. I think they're just wearing leather armor, and they carry spears with them. But they seem to be traveling in groups.
How large groups? Like 2 of them, or like 8 of them?
Between 3 and 5.
All right.
That's a lot.
So as you guys make your way through, now one of the things that is common for jackals traveling along is obviously trying to find trying to find a way to earn your keep. There is often someone called a Nasi, Nawse. It's the captain. The Nasi of the town can give you a sense of where what way you might be able to earn your keep for the day. How are you guys doing for coinage right now? Not
I'm
great?
okay. I've got about 29.
Oh, you're doing much better than me. I
don't think we spent that much on the first game. It was just very quick to do.
So, what even to get average lodging is going to cost you 1 silver shekel.
Yeah.
And to get trail rations, 1 day of trail rations is 5 copper, so half of a silver shekel. So, what do you guys wish to do? Having seen this, it seems there's a pall over this desert town. The other thing I'll mention too is that sweeping peak up to the north, and what you can see built higher up in the mountainside. It looks like a temple, a Lowathi temple.
Up this kind of thing.
Yeah. Out the door, out the other gate, the northern gate, and then up the mountain. So, as you guys are making your way through town, what do you wish to do?
Well, I think we should find an inn and wash the dust from our throats, and then maybe see what's going on. And normally innkeepers have a pretty good idea of any potential.
It is a Bronze Age setting, remember? So there is a hostel in town, but there's not going to be like a D&D style inn.
No, somewhere where we can buy a beer and lodging. Yeah, a hostel, I think is what they call them. Yeah.
So the hostel is actually... Yeah, you guys may have to sleep in the streets. Unless you can convince someone to take you in. Because the hostel is actually what is kind of serving as... When you get there, what you find is it appears to be the barracks. The guards who are turning over, who are making the rounds in town, you could see in groups. They all seem to be making use of. The hostel is 2 buildings butted up against each other, One provides villagers and travelers with alcoholic refreshments and an evening's rest, and the other one seems to have been turned over to half barracks and half stables.
Okay.
So there's a place where you can get some lodging and drinks if you like.
Yeah, so I would want to find the Nasi first to see kind of what's going on from him.
Sure.
So I assume that he's going to be at the barracks. So if we're there, I could probably, rap on the door and
Sure.
see if...
I think as you guys are making your way over, there's a guard sitting out front who's maybe like trying to fix a broken strap on a sandal, trying to retie something.
Yeah.
And he's got his spear leaning up against the wall, and he sees the two of you walk up, and he kind of looks. Good day, travelers.
Does Minktu probably doesn't speak Luathi, does he?
No,
He
says
says
and Howls.
But he says it
Yep.
in Howls?
in howls, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
So
can
I
see
will-
obviously there's a Garwa traveling with you.
Yeah.
The eye makeup maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll say, hello. We are. Would we say that we're jackals, or would we have like another term for it? Like
I think
we're
that
travelers?
you could probably assume they can tell.
Yeah.
You have a
So
distinctive
I'll say-
look.
Yeah, I'll just say my name is Gerard, and my companion is Minktu. We can see that there's a hostel over there, but there seems to be some trouble in the town. We're wondering if we might be able to provide assistance.
Okay, he kind of leaves the sandal, and he looks you back and forth, and he says, "Let me just get one more thing open here." So I'm just going to get names for cultural that are culturally appropriate here. His name is Zap Starfuck. No, his name is Anzor.
Anzor.
Yeah. Still waiting to play that character in a Starfinder game. The Anzor looks up and he says, "My name is Anzor. Well met. The blessing of the Lorekeeper on you. If you're looking for Nasi Hano, you can find him in the center building, the Green Dome.
Okay.
Seek him out there.
And I'm taking notes. What was the name of the village again? I missed.
Oh, sorry, Jabalam. Let me put
Jabalam.
let me put it in chat for you.
Cool. Balam, Anzor the Guard, and Nasi Hano.
Nasi Hano is the captain of the town. So you can see with Anzor talking to you. There's a couple other guards who kind of poke their heads out, and they're giving you guys kind of an up and down, looking at the two of you. The look of sort of like the armor, the accoutrements, the dirt of the road, and whatnot. You obviously are not, you're not from around here. Oh, one thing I forgot to do, Mo. Did you remember to mark the skills you used last time in the last session?
I did, yeah. I didn't know whether you wanted me to do that
Yeah,
now
let's quickly do that now, just because we're supposed to do that at the end of each session, and I don't want you to lose the benefit of that before.
Yeah, right. So I've got survival, melee, and stealth.
Okay, so go ahead and click on each of those, and I'll tell you how much they go up if you fail.
Right, hang on. Let me scroll around the character sheet.
Okay.
Oh, hang on. No, that's the wrong. It's the damage, isn't it? Sorry. This one.
Okay. Melee combat. Okay, so melee combat's not going to go up. You said survival is one, and go ahead, roll your survival. No, and then what was the last one? Stealth.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, nice. Your stealth goes up to 55.
Right.
Okay. All right. So then you make sure all your ticks are clear except for your perception, because you guys did successfully use that. Alrighty. Okay, so then, if you guys make your way through town, you were greeted by much of the same closed, the streets are mostly people who are trying to avoid you. And you finally make it to the center building, which is this low and round building is definitely old. And in an ancient style that is certainly not Lowathi. Mengtu, you can give me an ancient lore check if you'd like. Try and identify. Although none of the surrounding architecture matches this. Everything seems to have been... Oh, critical failure. Fumble. Oh, no. Your brain explodes again. Like many other Lowathi villages, the people of Jabalim built around one of the ancient structures found in the Zaharats. And it also... This is a highly defensible place as well.
So, I don't have any points in ancient lore, but I do have my virtue for Seeker of Knowledge. I'm wondering if I could make like a 0 level roll and then turn that failure into a success for this.
Okay, so I think here's what you do is you make your way up towards it. And here's another interesting quality about this stuff. You get up to the stone, and you've maybe heard about this by this point, and you haven't had a chance to actually see it in person. Well, that's not true. At the main city has some of this stuff as well, too. But you get up, and you're touching the stone, and as you get in close, you can close your eyes, and the smell of brine and salt water fills your senses. And you can put down that you have, since you've used your virtue, you can put down you now have 3% in ancient lore. And Mengtu, you see Gerard go up and kind of, go through this as well, too. You can hear that there are men talking inside the structure. It seems like there's a dog barking as well.
Probably appropriate sound effects.
Absolutely. Anna Banana on ADR.
So are they speaking in Lowathi, presumably? Not.
They are speaking in Lowathi, yes. So it's a language you don't quite know.
So Jared, well, maybe we should listen in what they're saying before we meet them.
That's not really my style, Mengtu. I'm going to go in and talk to them.
Okay.
But if you want to stand outside and listen...
No, that's okay. I'll come in.
So you walk in...
before we go...
what you can see... Well, no, he said he's going in, so there's not much you can do but before... At this point. So as you walk in, Gerard, what you see is a tall... it is a Lowathi man, so, swarthier skin, dark hair... tall, and he's forced to stoop in the low building, and he seems to be looking over maps. He keeps the hair on the top of his head trimmed short for his helmet, but he has a long beard, and it indicates the status that he has within Jabalim. He's got a very impressive-looking long beard. As he looks up and he sees the two of you approaching. The 4 other men who are around him, he says something in, like, Gerard, you can understand this, he says in Lowathi, go, 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 go. And as they sort of walk past you, the 4 of them turn and look you guys kind of up and down. And then, as best he can in this low, green-walled building, which has an even stronger kind of odor of brine and seawater, he kind of stands up, strokes his beard, and says, "Jackals."
Before I answer, the other men, there were guards or
they
townsmen?
Were guards. Yeah, guards.
Yeah. All right. Then I will respond. He said in howls, right? So that we could both...
He said in howls, correct.
Yeah. So I would say that's correct. We are looking for work as it happens.
Well, if you are looking for work I could offer. Alwayne is clearly working through, and he says kind of a short like aphorism in Lawathi to you. And he says, "You are together then."
Yeah, my name is Gerard, and this is my companion Minktu. We've been traveling the War Road for a few days.
Then you are passing through, or are you staying?
Not staying long if we're staying at all.
Well, sorry, the reason I'm looking here is because I can't... It's not evident what the reward is for this. So just give me 1 second. There's a comparable reward in another adventure. What'll pay you, which you can split between the two or keep yourself. Well, first I'll talk about what his problem is. So what he says to you is, as you guys are come in, he pours you a fairly strong but very simple glass of wine each, and then offers for you to sit down near his table. You can see that the map itself is of... One of them seems to be of Jabalam, and the other seems to be kind of the region around. Mm-hmm. He sits down and he says, the problem I have is that over the past 3 weeks, I've had 4 guards disappear in the middle of the night. Now, there are reasons why some might want to pick up and go. Those who I agree to have serve me as guards and protectors of Jabalam, these are the sort who have roots here. These are not those who would take up the war road like your kind. They have reasons to stay, and yet all 4 of the guards, all 4 have disappeared with their equipment as well. I know these 4 men, and I know that they would not desert either. And he looks outside just to make sure that none of the other guards are listening. Truth told, these were my 4 best. 4 best and most loyal as well. We have tried to investigate, we've tried to ask, but no one says that they saw them leave, and no one says they saw what happened to them. This is disconcerting both to myself and to those in Jabalam as well. If we can't protect ourselves, how can we protect them?
Truly, the world Alwyn made is a mysterious one at times.
Indeed. We worry that something... The rumors are such that they say something preys on them, but we have no proof of that either. If you find... I know how such things go with your kind. If you find what happened to my guards, there is 100 shekels for you. Is that agreeable?
Yes, I think that's a fair price.
Then you may use my name with those that you find. You should find them. The people of Jabalam are agreeable and as much as can be pleasant. you will find them eager to assist. But if one of them is to blame, I would just have you bring it to me. Find my guards. Your best starting... Go ahead.
Has anyone else gone missing? Any non-guard people?
Only guards. The last 3 weeks, in the middle of the night, with all of their equipment.
And no obvious, they weren't all like on post at a certain place or anything like that?
Taken from their homes.
Taken from their homes. Okay.
I am...
Do you have their names?
We do. And he gives you the 4 names.
Yeah.
I have to say, we didn't notice many children in the streets. Have there been attacks outside the walls as well?
No. But if the guards, if armed warriors can be taken in the night,
I see, yeah.
what parent wants their child running in the streets?
So they all disappeared during the nighttime?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Oh, the guards, I do have the guards' names for you. They are, I'll put it in chat for you guys. Gashur, Deshi, Zakar, and Zamir. So, you are, there are others. He'll give you, well, I guess he'll try to leave it to you, unless you've got questions for him. He suggests their homes may be a place to start.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that.
He can tell you where they live then.
Okay.
But speak to those in town. They may... I would like to think they are forthright with all, but they may speak to you when their lips are sealed to me.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to ask him if if there's any way he could, for a couple days while we do this, like pay for our lodging or something like that. Seems like that would be fair. Or pay out of our prize.
Why don't you give us a trade check?
Yeah. And I'm happy if he wants to, like I said, reduce our price for the cost of lodging, but it would be easy if it was...
Oh, not even at this point.
Nice.
Yeah, Ming-Tu probably not as
so you can,
much a fan of that.
You can go ahead and tick your trade check.
Nice.
So he hit, like the corner of his mouth kind of ticks up, and he says, I've heard that your kind are as fast with haggling as they are with swords or spears. Speak to Shuma. Shuma runs the hostel. Tell her we will be covering your stay.
Thank you. And you should have seen my buddy Kamal. He was really fast with words.
Then, what do you guys wish to do? You can ask him other information, too. I do have other information about the disappearances, if you'd like.
What do you think?
So, was there anything left behind? Any sign of a struggle?
There was no sign of a struggle.
So, presumably the gates are locked at night.
The gates are locked in the evening, yes.
So,
yeah.
Presumably they did not, we're fairly sure they did not go out through the gates, which is interesting.
No one saw them. As far as Hano is concerned, he doesn't know of anyone who saw them.
And there are, I'm going to guess, guards at the gates and patrolling the streets at night normally?
There are. And they disappeared from all over.
Yeah.
We had one disappeared from his house near the north gate. Actually, let me get my little pointer here. One disappeared near the north gate. The second, was from a house near the Redsmith. And the Redsmith is located at 5, right here. Second, from his home near the Redsmith. That's Deshi. The first was Gashur. The third was near the market. The market is 6.
Huh?
And the fourth, Zamir, was only 3 nights ago. And it was at the hostel. Right here. So Gashur at the north, near the north gate. Deshi near the Redsmith. Zakar near the marketplace. And then Zamir was taken only 3 days ago from the hostel.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I think maybe we should go to the hostel first and introduce ourselves, and then see if we can see any evidence. Because obviously the others disappeared.
Well, and maybe ask if anybody staying there has seen anything or anything like that they might not have told the guards about. Part of why, just to nudge you back, Mink, to part of why I asked for our lodging to be covered is so that we could use our cash for bribes.
I want to make this a little larger for you guys, too.
Cool.
There we are. Illustration from the book as well, too.
Yeah. Somebody commented on YouTube. Fred Daniel said the art seems to give this publication a very attractive and unique look.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
it's
totally.
true. It's a great looking book.
Yeah. So then, do you have any other questions of Namo? He will make himself available at your leisure, or at your disposal. You can find him. Ask any of the guards. They normally know where Namo is.
Yeah.
So the Nasi can be found. If not there, you can find him at the dome.
Okay. Mink, do you got any questions?
No, I think maybe starting with the hostel first. What time of day it is, by the way?
It's going to be probably late afternoon. You guys have been traveling, but you spied Jabalam up on the slopes and made your way up that winding path up to here. You can't see on the map as well, too, but there isn't like a back path, or at least an easy way down either. Like the way to get into Jabalam is up that winding kind of switchback path.
There's the south gate. Oh, I will ask, did we see any guards like along the path, like at the other end at the bottom or something?
No.
So they're not necessarily watching if somebody was able to get over the walls and around, but that seems like it'd be a little difficult.
There is a watchtower here, right? So they could likely spy, depending on the positioning of the 3 moons, then they may be able to see it, but like the benefit of having an unobstructed switchback path is that you can see who's coming up towards the gate long before you have to deal with them.
Okay. Well, I agree, Ming, too, that I think we're I'll make the appropriate kind of Luathi goodbye until we see you again type thing to Nasihano, and
okay.
We can go to the hostel.
Okay. Gerard, would you give me a perception check, please?
Yep.
Just want to see something. Okay. So you guys say your goodbyes to him. You walk outside. You find the 4 men that he was speaking to have been kind of waiting outside. They're idly standing off to the side, talking to each other. They give you guys the sort of suspicious, like it's the cop look, effectively, of like the,
Yeah, cops versus bounty hunters. It's
kind of, yeah. All right, and then you guys make your way back towards the hostel. It's been a very short walk to get there. You get there and you find that Anzor has already headed out on his patrol too, but it seems that he's been replaced by other. You can hear other guardsmen and mounts from travelers inside the stable and barracks, and it seems as if the for a tavern, as it were, the spirits and whatnot inside of the hostel are notably subdued. So as you guys walk in, however, it's that subdued nature of the crowd that makes the welcome that you guys receive such a stark contrast. And this Lowathi woman kind of looks up from behind where she's working at one of the tables and says, "Welcome, welcome," in accented howls. "Travelers, please come in, come in. I've been told. The Nasi told me that, or I heard that the Nasi would be your host. I am pleased to welcome you to my establishment, and it will be my honor to offer you lodgings while you attempt to solve the Nasi's problems. My name is Shuma."
Shuma.
And tell, friend, you seem to be one blessed of Valwayne. You are one of the people. But you, my friend, you seem... Are you from the south?
I am from Gur.
Ah, south of here, then. Yes, welcome. Please. We had one of your countrymen here last week.
Oh?
She seems to say that as if, like, you must know them, right?
Yeah.
So, she said...
I had a lore question real quick.
Of course.
How common is knowing howls? Is it like everybody knows it, or is it like we could converse in howls between the two of us and be fairly certain that only, like, certain people could overhear us?
I think it would be like the trade tongue. So there'd be people who would have the occasion to need to know it would likely pick it up. So those working in a caravansary or those who run inns probably know it, but like the average townsfolk may not speak it at all.
Yeah, that's good to know, because one of the things I was wondering is if we could, if we need to converse. Obviously, it's the only language that we share.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that's worth noting too is that it is unlikely that you guys are literate as well too. Literacy is not a ubiquitous thing in the Bronze Age by any means. No. So the what are you guys thinking? She offers you a place. Please come sit. The many miles that you've traveled must have left you hungry and parched, of course.
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay.
Some food and drink.
Yep.
Would
so
be
you
great.
sit down. The crowd seems to be a little. They're interested in what you guys are having to say, and I'm not sure whether it's just like nosy locals or whether it's just you're the thing of interest that has come in here. The traveling Lowathi and the Gerwa. So you guys
are there any? Do the off-duty guards? Is this their watering hole?
Nope, they stay in the barracks. They
just stay in the barracks. They don't have and they get all their stuff there.
Yep, there's definitely a partition between where the guards are and where the townsfolk are.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so she brings back in clay plates. There's some food that has been some meat and some starch, and in clay glasses there is some wine as well. Sits it down in front of you and she says, please. Some warm bread on another clay platter.
I'll thank her and sort of like say some blessings and go on.
Oh,
with the appropriate meal blessings. Yep. I would imagine they would have that sort of thing, being quite a structured society.
Absolutely. Okay. So with that, guys, you have an opportunity to break your fast, and I think that you kind of remember how it's that blessed moment where you're able to sit in comfortable chairs and eat hot food that was not prepared by you. What are you guys thinking? If you spoke, to answer your question, Arlen, if you spoke in like low howls with each other, like kind of, we're not speaking so everyone could hear, that would definitely go a further distance to preventing people from listening in.
Yeah, but if we started shouting and howls, this is the kind of crowd that would notice and
Innkeeper probably most particularly. I mean, she was speaking to you in howls when she came up.
Okay. Well, then we'll speak quietly. It seems like Gerard probably isn't going to speak for the first half or so of the meal. He's more focused on breaking his fast and having some good food.
The food is good. I mean, it's not it's nothing elaborate, but I mean, for having lived on what you could scavenge or what trail rations you brought with you. For the last, half a week or almost week. Well, weeks are 10 days long in Jackals, so it would be half a week you've been traveling and living off a trail ration. So this is definitely an improvement, and the wine can't help but lift your spirits as well too.
Yeah.
Perhaps the promise of a 100 shekel or shekels reward too. That might give you some heartening. Once you finish and you bring yourself to the point where you feel you could speak again, what do you guys talk about?
So one of the things I noticed from looking at the map that we probably would have seen as we walked around town, that there don't seem to be towers on this side, which makes sense because there's nothing really to guard against.
Yep.
But if I were trying to hide something like out in the copse of woods or something like that, that would make it a lot easier to do.
Yep. And the you can tell from where the temple is as well too, that in the same way that the tower and the south gate would have a good view of the approach to the town itself, the temple would likely have, if you were to be looking out, you would likely have a great view of that region as well.
Okay, so that'd probably be a stop we want to make. The houses seem like a good idea. We didn't ask Shuma about the one who Zamir, the one who disappeared from here 3 nights ago.
Okay.
No, I think,
but we should probably do that.
Okay. So she comes back. We can say that she's come back to fill. She's got a clay jug with wine, and she's getting ready to fill your drinks again. And you have the opportunity to ask her anything if you like.
Yeah. You want me to do it, Mink, too?
No, I'll have a go at it because I am honey-tongued.
Mm.
And I'm just trying to think what it would be. Effectively, it would be...
So unless it's deception, it is going to be influence, I think.
Yeah, in that case, I will just chat to her and use influence with my honey-tongued. I will use my posh accent, as it were.
So why don't you... it'll be your exotic accent, I think, more than anything, as far as she's concerned. So why don't you give us a influence check, and remember to roll your d10 for honey-tongued afterwards. See if you can get a crit.
Influence.
Oh!
That's not good.
Fumble! Oh, so actually, however, though, that would... Oh, no, that would just... Well, so it'd be a 0-3 then, instead. So that's actually pretty good. Instead of the...
Instead of the fumble.
Instead of the fumble. Yeah. So nice recovery, thanks to your honey tongue. So what do you say?
I'll first start off by complimenting her on the food. But then I'll move on.
Thank you.
But you're obviously... She seems to be aware that we're here for solving the problem. This unfortunate chap that disappeared, would it be possible for Jared and I to inspect his room in case there was any signs of a struggle? I mean, people just disappearing with no trace is very unusual.
Let's see here. He stayed in the barracks, not here. and you are welcome to...
oh, right. Yeah. Does she actually run the barracks as well, or does she just...
I clean it for them, but... Gerard, would you give me a perception check as well, please?
Will do. Perception?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Mengtu seems to be going along with this. Maybe it's a cultural thing. She's hiding something from him. She's putting on a performance. She definitely seems like she's got that boisterous innkeeper thing going on too. But you can see that she's being even where the performance from before was very genuine and very welcoming. That seems to be genuinely her. She seems to be dancing around something now. Mengtu doesn't seem to be picking up on it, but you definitely do.
All right, so I will sort of step in and say, well, what we heard from Nasihano was that he was taken from the hostel. Is there any reason he might have been here for perhaps a night instead of in the barracks?
The hostel are both.
Oh, the hostel counts as both?
Yes, the hostel's
Oh,
two
sorry.
buildings.
I thought I was gonna grill her about he was here like visiting a prostitute or something like that.
But, why don't you give us an influence check, please? Oh, and Mo, put a tick next to your influence as well.
All right, influence. Oh, so close.
Do you wish to spend a fate point?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to spend a fate point and roll influence again.
Okay.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, so leaning in, and what do you say to her about that?
So I sort of lean in and say, Nasihano is depending on us to solve his problem. If you have any information, it would be much better for you to help us out now than to require something more direct intervention by the Nasi.
So she sort of wrinkles her nose, and the demeanor shifts substantially.
Yep.
And she says, serving Nasihano then. Well, that one who disappeared, he was in the barracks, but you can look and see. I'm sure that his guards will be happy to let you in to where he was staying, though with the way they live, I wouldn't expect to find much, even with only 3 days past.
Mm-hmm. Did you clean up anything in his room or his quarters?
There was nothing to clean.
That sounds unusual.
And she kind of looks back and forth. It's unusual for them to go missing, but none of them will be missed.
None of them are... Believe me, this part of the information will not make it back to Nasihano, but was that opinion shared by many of the townspeople?
It seems as if someone has been listening in, because you hear someone say, from a table over, and then another man with him hits him, like, shut up!
Yep. They're all paying attention to our special conversation, I'm sure.
Yeah. And she looks around, and she seems to trust you. Like, again, one of the things I do like about the game is you make a roll, and then you stick with it. So we know that you've charmed this lady. And make a tick next to your influence as well, too, before I forget.
Oh, yeah. We'll do that.
She says, you're not from here, but those four, you'll not find a single soul who doesn't wear a uniform who will miss them.
Is there something particular about the four of them? Or some event that they were all involved in, perhaps?
You hear that man again kind of... and he says, well, it's hard to miss thieves. And the other man's like, shut up!
They're saying this in Luathi, are they? Not Jackals.
They're singing in howls.
Yeah, they're and they're listening in howls while we.
Yeah. Not everyone in the... Like, some of the people who are here are not speaking it. The way these two are... You know what? Actually, give me a... You can give me either a... Oh, you know, it'll be his culture. I think it'll be culture other for you, Mink2, and culture own for you, Gerard.
All right. Culture.
See if you can judge. I'm just going to use this to judge.
Oh.
Fumble. Fail. Anybody want to spend fate points, or you want to stick with your fumbles?
I don't think you can spend fate points on a fumble. I think that's one of the things that we missed, but I'm pretty sure on the thing it says.
Well, let's see here. Spending fate points. Here we go. You know, that's a Savage Worlds thing.
Yeah, so players can use fate points in the following manner to reroll failed checks except for fumbles.
Oh, so you're stuck with fumble. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm stuck with that roll.
Yeah. All right, so there's nothing... let me think here. Okay, I think I know what's going to happen then. For the fumble, you guys can't see it just yet, but something is happening. Mm-hmm. So where we left, that man said that no one misses thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Mech2 is probably going to look a bit shocked at this because he's used to a fairly efficient and organised police force back home.
Well, you also just came out of a civil war, so I mean,
yeah,
it's
but,
not.
Yeah,
things are very disrupted during that period.
Yeah, true. Actually, yes. Sorry, it's not like when it was the stable period.
Yeah.
So I'll say to Jared slowly, is our villages like this normally ruled by guards with fear rather than self-interest?
Well, that's a difficult question, but seems that most communities, and Shuma, we'd love to hear if this is not the case, but in most communities where the guards are a part of the community, there's a fairly healthy relationship between the guards and the people.
I cannot speak. She shakes her head and says, I cannot speak for other communities. I can only speak for these people. And she kind of leans in. You should know for whom you work. About 6 months ago, Hano rode north along the mountain range with all the men, with a retinue of men. And all but he were killed. And when he returned, the only one surviving, then these new men arrived. And the stench that they gave off was unlike any I could place. Something was off about them.
So the guards are not from... So are all the guards not from around here?
Those 4.
Those 4. But the rest of the guards, they're all upstanding community members?
They all answer to the Nasi. And 6 months since his return, things have not been the same.
So, were there any... Those 4 were all new arrivals. Are there any other new arrivals among the guards?
Those 4 alone.
All right. And I'll sort of glance over at Mink too, as if it's his turn to.
I think maybe we should have an investigation of the barracks first.
Yeah.
And then
Alright.
he'll say very slowly, and maybe a chat while no one else is listening outside.
Okay.
Do you want to talk to our... And I'll just sort of nod my head over towards the other guys that were here listening in on our conversation clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's buy them around and see what they know.
Okay. So then that...
So what is a round of...
Yeah, I'm just taking a quick peek here.
Hang on, where's the...
Because you guys are not flush with cash.
Yeah.
So... All right. Average food and drink. There's 2 guys. It'll cost you 1 silver shekel for to give both of them a drink.
All right.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, we'll ask Shuma to bring us, a pair of drinks for them, and we'll step over with our drinks and theirs, and kind of.
So you guys walk over, and they sort of they look up a little. The one man who's telling the other one to shut up looks a little nervous as the 2 of you walk over. These are middle-aged, townsfolk. They're their drinks are. You can tell like they're the kind of guys who would sit around and nurse a drink, all afternoon.
Yeah, they're doing the Irish thing and drinking a Guinness over the course of a day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they look up at you and say, "We don't want any trouble." The one who was telling the other guy to shut up. We don't want any trouble. He's had too much to drink. The wine makes him say things.
It's all right. We don't want any trouble either. We find ourselves a little short of friends here, being newcomers, and we're wondering if we could sit down and make a friendship with the 2 of you, perhaps.
The one who had been kind of scoffing and whatnot, he looks up at you, and the gin blossoms on his nose tell you that maybe there may be some truth to what his friend had said. And he puts his hand out to grasp yours. Kinesh.
Kinesh. Can you spell that in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So he is Kinesh. And his friend is Namar.
Awesome.
Namar, you could think of nervous Namar. So, Namar is a little pudgier. Kinesh has a little bit more of a ropey, kind of wiry look to him. But once you guys sit down, the back and forth that the 2 have, they have that sort of banter that, decades-long friendships have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's a little bit of chit-chat about, he asks where you're from, Gerard.
Yeah, I'm from, and I'll tell him my village.
Yeah, village outside Amunawani.
Yeah. But I've been on the war road for a little while now.
That's
then my friend Mink too, and you can tell he's a Garwa, so he's from a little further away.
One of them, he gives you a kind of may the 8 bless and the 6. So may the 8 bless you and the 6 not see you, and which tells you for these townies, it's strange that they would know that, and the way it comes out is sort of a canned response kind of thing.
And I'll presumably this is like a
call and repeat kind of thing.
Call and repeat. Yeah, so I'll respond to that.
Sure.
So you've met Goa before then?
We have occasion to have met your country folk too. Hard bargainers, but fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Kinesh says a bit uppity for my taste, but
and these are both clearly Luwathi, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. You said Kinesh was kind of ropey. Any chance he has kind of the warrior broad shoulder build, or
definitely not
more
a warrior? His hands are quite They're not callous like a workman's, but they are. They have wear to them. These are not the delicate, pampered hands of a noble or something like that.
Okay.
Or a scholar.
Sounds good. Well, if the conversation, we sort of chat for a little while about where we're from, and then I'll ask them about what's going on in Jabalum, and with the guards disappearing, if those men were not very popular, why did the townspeople seem so closed up also?
So Namar is kind of like staring at Kinesh like, come on, don't say anything. And Kinesh says, all I can say is they will not be missed. And we don't know wherever they've gone, we don't know. But if perhaps Alwyn is shedding his light on us finally, and the misfortunes are hitting those who most deserve those misfortunes.
That certainly may be, but again, I don't think that explains. We didn't see even any children in the streets. Seems strange for a town like this.
Again, with those in the streets, whatever is responsible for those disappearances, there's usually only one way that these things end. You may have no children of your own. I would not see my grandchildren in the streets when a reckoning comes. The Nasi is not a man to forget slights.
Most leaders do not.
Yeah,
in that case, do you think this might be a precursor to an attack? Do you think someone's softening the town up, so the village up? Or do you think, did they have any enemies that might have decided to...
I can't speak to enemies, but you would be hard-pressed to find friends for any of those four.
Mm-hmm. But they had
attacks. I can't speculate on such things.
Nasi Hanno told us that they were, men who had connections to the town. He didn't say so much that they had families or anything, but he did imply such.
The two of them look at each other. Did he now?
He did.
And he takes a sip of that new clay cup of wine.
And I can do the lawyer thing and say nothing if that's not true.
Yeah, and he just sips.
Yep. All right. Interesting. Okay. Well. Trying to think of what else we've learned.
Namar seems to have been a little further into the cups. His cheeks are all quite flushed as well too. For a guy who's used to stretching a cup of wine out over a day, having a second one in him now maybe makes him a little bolder. But he sort of blurts out, "What are you doing for him then?"
We're just investigating the disappearance right now. We'd rather like the town to... There seems to be a sort of dour character to the town at this moment, and seems that both of I would like to alleviate that on some level.
And the Shuma has kind of stooped over and says, "I wonder why that could be." And Kinesh kind of he thinks that's terribly funny. Namar looks mortified, like, "Shut up."
And I can't write something to, but so like a but I guess we don't really want more people to listen in, especially if it's going to put these guys into trouble. Maybe we could offer. What do you think, Mink? Two? We could offer to. I'll say. If you two are closing in on the end of your night, maybe we could help take you home and continue the conversation there.
The Kinesh, let's see, I guess both of them will let you know that like they have families waiting for them, and they've got nothing more to say.
Nothing more to say.
Well, once the prospect of like kind of like being formally involved with the investigation gets in, even Kinesh loses a little bit of his nerve.
Okay.
And it's
that's fine.
You can picture it's more of a polite way of them doing it. They're not telling like they keep coming up with excuses for why you don't need to bring them
one
along.
of them says, "Oh, my wife will cook you up a whole meal, and I don't want to get into that trouble," and that sort of thing.
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're able to pick up that it's like, oh, they really don't want you escorting them back.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
Shall we have a look at the barracks now, I think?
We might want to. I don't know how late it is. We might want to look at the barracks in the morning if it's.
It's probably up to you. I mean, you guys have the Nasi has given you his authority, so you can go and do really what you want within town.
Yeah. Well, I was also thinking. So one of the things I was thinking might be good to do is maybe tonight go to that watchtower that's on the south wall and look out over the path and kind of see what we would be able to see from there.
Sure.
There's something like a spot that might be hidden. Like we can see there's like a rock that keeps a.
Well, and you guys can also picture the treacherous route that you followed. There are many places where like a wrong turn or two could easily be lethal.
Yep.
Okay. So we started a little late, but why don't we take our mid-session break right now, and then we'll come back and then check in with chat, and then we'll jump in on we'll see what you guys find in the barracks and in the South Tower. So back momentarily, folks.
Okay.
Okay. So beautiful out today here. I can actually leave the door open and let Anna run around the backyard and yell at people instead of yelling at them from inside. Okay. Fred, good morning. Good luck today, Jackal, says Fred. That's great. Brian, good morning. Jeffrey, what's going on? Oh, I will thank Jeffrey. I will thank you every single week. Thank you very much. Richard, what's going on? Who's Kevin? I don't know. Ask around. Okay. Ice King, what's going on? May you have the most magical of missiles. Thank you so much, Ice King. Sean, what's going on? Yeah, great to see a lot of Jackals getting run this weekend. It is. Oh, and Dave. Dave, I'm glad you've been enjoying them as well. Crumb, what's going on? Cheers to more Jackals. Yeah, I agree, Crumb. The art is ridiculously cool. It's a great-looking game. I mean, they do a good job on all the Osprey games, but this one in particular does a really cool job. Bronze Age fantasy is just such a different... it's not something you've seen, 100 times before. What I like about it, too, is it probably would have been very easy for Osprey to just grab illustrations from their other products and just jam them into an RPG and just say, hey, there you go. And they don't do that. They actually, they've created custom art in it, and almost, not the character art, but the rest of the illustrations we've had in here in this session and the other ones we've used have all been from the actual core rulebook, which is pretty awesome. All right, guys. So, you guys were heading over to inspect the barracks. So, there are some guards who they, when you first, I guess you tell me, how do you think you're going to approach this? Do you just walk in, or do you tell like the first person you see, look, I've been told I should be doing X, Y, Z? What do you think?
I think we'll just walk in and the first kind of guardsman we see will say, we're looking for Zamir's quarters, and we've been told by the Nasi that we're operating with his authority, so if you could direct us there, that would be excellent.
So curiously, when you guys exit the hostel, like the common room of the hostel, you find standing outside a group of 3 guards, including your buddy Amar?
Anzor.
Anzor, thank you. And they, the 3 of them look over, and you tell them, we've been look over. They sort of look at each other like, come on, this way. We'll show you his quarters. And they bring you in, and you get the distinct feeling that, Anzor takes the lead, and then the 2 others sort of wait for you to go in and then follow up behind. They all have their spears with them as well. They lead you down to one of the small, rooms that that was being used by Zamir. And they throw it open and say, there you are. And you realize that Zamir, it looks like some other soldier has very quickly taken over his place. And you spend maybe, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 minutes kind of looking over the place just to look around, and you realize like there's just been too much other traffic in here. Whatever clues and whatnot might have been available they're certainly gone now.
So I'm going to turn to Anzor, and I'll say I have a couple of questions if you don't mind.
He nods. The Nasi has instructed we cooperate. Ask away.
Whose room is this now? And I don't care about the name. I just want to.
Yep, some other soldier.
Yeah, some other soldier. And I'll ask, is it...
Or guard.
Guard. Is it... did the Nasi assign him this room? Or is it there's someone else that we could talk to that might have done room assignments?
They sort of chuckle, and you can hear the guys standing behind you chuckle, behind Menktu chuckle. And he says, we take what's available. When he was gone, they're with how sort of cramped things are in here too, with getting all the guards in. It's probably not wrong. Yeah. It also doesn't smell great because the stables are next, really next to this as well.
Yep. All right. Well, was there? I assume that when Zamir disappeared, there was some investigation of the room.
The Zamir left. There was no sign of why he left. He was just gone.
Did anyone see him leave?
No.
No. Was Zamir popular among the men?
He was a guard.
Yeah, but, some of the guards are likable guys and some of them are unlikable guys. I guess I'm wondering which was Zamir.
Give me an influence check, please. Actually, perception, please. Perception. One of you guys, not both.
All right. Do you want me to do perception, Ming-Tu?
Yep, you got it.
All right.
Okay. He's holding something back.
Yep. Kind of figured.
The close presence of the guards behind you give you, they're all but telling you to fuck off.
Yep.
It's a very unwelcome presence in here. They're not being hostile or nothing you could put your finger on that says you're being, you're not cooperating or stuff like that, but...
Yeah, but this is like the policeman driving Rambo out of town so that he doesn't stay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Gerard's going to continue the line of questioning and sort of say, and the other men who have disappeared, Gashur and Deshi and Zakar, were they popular among the guards?
They were guards.
But did you like them, Anzor?
They were guards.
Yeah, but surely you had some interaction with them,
They were guards. With a roll that good, you get the sense he's not comfortable.
Yeah.
With this, but which is probably speaking to why he's not even making the effort to come up with a better reason to give evasive answers.
So I will ask Anzor, and I'll turn around and say, I didn't catch the two of your names, but either of you, do you stay in the barracks or do you have homes in town?
Anzor answers for them. They stay in the barracks as well. We all do now.
Now? Yeah. Are you... If these men... Let us imagine for a moment that the men who disappeared were not very popular among either the townsfolk or the guards, and yet you are still worried about disappearing as well?
They all kind of look at each other. We stay in the barracks now.
By the Nazis' orders?
He nods his head.
Yes.
Can I sort of non-verbally suggest that we move on to Jared? So I'm not quite sure how I'd do this. Just imply that I think we should...
I mean, you could probably just tap me on the shoulders. I mean, they would notice, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll just sort of touch and say, maybe we should... there are other lines of inquiry I think we need to take now.
Sure. Ming-Tu, do you have a suggestion? Maybe the three of you could walk us to the southern tower so that we could get a look at the path up.
They sort of look back and forth at each other and they say, I trust you can find your way there safely.
Yeah, right. Thank you for your help. I think I'll sort of add there. Okay. Let's go and inspect the tower.
Okay. There is a feeling of not relief necessarily, because, I mean, you feel you could probably, if push came to shove, you could take these guys. Probably. but closely, when you step outside, there is a feeling of relief, and if either of you spare a look back, you can see that the three of them are standing outside, all watching you as you make your way down to the road that will lead back to the south gate. No one else seems to be... The rest of the populace around here seems to be giving you the same, the same sort of only sparse attention that they got before. And it's worth noting, like, it looks like it does in the illustration here, where there's lots of places where it's not cramped. Like, we're not talking about, the Kowloon walled city everywhere, right? This is not, some sprawling metropolis. There's plenty of places where you guys can be away from people and see if anyone's listening in and have a conversation yourselves.
Yeah. All right. None of the three men, because Shuma described like a really weird smell.
Yeah.
On the other men when they arrived, none of them smelled anything particularly weird. I mean, they probably smell like sweat and.
Well, it's a barracks. It's a bunch of men, like young men living together in a barracks. So it probably doesn't. It's not like a but like
not a great smell, but a familiar smell.
Definitely not the that stench that she said she couldn't pin down. You didn't sense anything like that.
Okay. Well, let's go. Maybe we could go out into like this area and
sure.
Find one of the trees and sort of lean up against it and talk for a minute.
Sure. Yeah. So you guys have an opportunity to talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. What do you think, Mink 2?
That's very suspicious. There's something weird going on. I certainly think it would be interesting to look at the gates and see if there was maybe there is a way of climbing down. Because I presume this isn't kept in 100% battle ready condition. Like it would be if they're expecting attack. So there may well be places where you could put a rope over and climb down. I mean, there is a steep cliff, so you could go over the wall and then sneak down the path.
Be rough, be tough to do, but there's probably a way to. I mean, most places have a way to get out unnoticed if you're good enough. I think the guards didn't seem to be interested in talking about the men who disappeared at all, right?
There are 3 more places, 3 more homes that weren't the barracks.
Yeah.
I was going to say maybe we could either look at the gate now or later, or maybe that home near the north gate, which we thought was an easier way of getting out.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we want to wait until the morning in case we need to disturb the neighbors to ask if they saw or heard anything.
It's still probably
seems like
barely because you guys got here late afternoon with a meal and checking and talking and whatnot too. It's probably only about 6:30ish or 7. It's probably not quite dark even.
And that might be good if they're all going to be home. Although I don't really want to. The way that the response to the Nasi, his name has been, seems like might not want to bandy that we're working for him around as much as we originally expected to.
Well, we could. I suppose actually we could also hang out near one of the gate and see if anyone else tries to slip out. Because realistically, the gate number 2 is
hold on.
way out.
What?
Go ahead, Arlen.
Yeah, what? I guess, what do you mean, like hang out tonight and see if somebody tries to slip out tonight?
Yeah, or do our own night patrols. I mean, maybe not tonight if we want to get like a rest and then start fresh in the morning.
What's that based on, though? So let's just take a moment to think. So remember, this is a mystery thing, and the way to effectively make your way through the mystery is to gather information, compare that information to what you've gathered so far, and then use that as a way of deciding what your next step is. What's the thing that's leading you to conclude that watching the wall will get you any further information?
Well, it's the only practical way out.
But
so,
go ahead, Arlen.
I mean, this is one way out, but I also, like I mentioned, there's this sort of copse of trees here where if somebody was going to try to get out of town, but not necessarily very far, right? And we can't be both places at once. So that would be 2 nights spent. Plus, I think the guards are going to get I can't imagine they're going to be any other people out in the night. I suspect if we run into any patrolling guards and we just have to say, oh, we're looking around, they're going to get real unfriendly if they find us, out in the middle of the night, especially if we're strangers in town and they're already worried about somebody coming and grabbing guardsmen.
Well, one of the things
working for their boss.
Guys, remember that, like, if you have the goal of a mystery adventure, like in an RPG, is to get enough information to solve the mystery. And one of the ways you do that is chasing down the places that are potential sources of that information. You still have plenty of clearly identifiable sources of potential information, including other townsfolk and the other places you've missed. I'm being very metagamey here, but just it does require a different approach, right? And
maybe the other houses where they disappeared would be the obvious thing to do.
I think checking the other houses is a good idea. I think so. There was 2 kind of around here, one near the gate and one near the whatever 6 was. I can't remember.
If it helps here, guys, why don't I do this? Let's see here. Oh, Anna says hi. Yelling at someone outside. I think this is circle. There's one near the north gate. There's one near the marketplace. There was one at the hostel. And there was one near the Redsmith.
Okay. So we're pretty close to the Redsmith. We could go investigate that pretty easily.
And actually, Smiths are probably quite influential people in town, so they might not be as cowed as the average villager.
That's fair, again, although we don't know how close. I guess we'll have to see how close the Redsmith is close to the Redsmith, but might be able to give us more information if there's something about the Nasi that they clearly don't like him very much, and it seems like that's shared by some of the guards, right? That the guards are not super friendly with the guards that were not these 4, right? Because the Nasi himself, right? Hano told us that these were his 4 most loyal men, and he didn't really want any other ones to hear that we were going to be involved in this. And these last guards, when we sort of asked about the potential that these guys weren't super popular, they weren't willing to tell us. But it seems pretty clear that their answer was, no, these are not popular men among the men. They're, the Nazis men versus being the kind of group's men. In which case, I think so I think that leads us to a couple things. I think one, we should try to avoid kind of banding around that we're working for the Nasi. Although if somebody asks us, we kind of have to say that we're going to get paid by him because we are, not here. We're outsiders here. But also, I think that one of the things I was wondering, the Alwyn Temple up here, how often do visitors go up there or anything like that? Because I assume that would be maybe a place of pilgrimage or something.
Yep. There will also be a kahar up there too, a priest.
Okay, so we could go up there and talk to him, and maybe he seems like he might also be less cowed by the Nasi. If he's way up here alone doing his own thing.
So I'll ask Jared, do Luafi normally worship at the temple regularly? I mean, I'm familiar with the 6 and the 8, and there are fairly regular ceremonies, but I'm not quite sure how.
Mengtu, give us a culture other roll. Nice. Okay, you can put a tick next to that now. So this may have been of interest to you. The church, the priesthood in Gerwa or in Ger is integrated in an incredible way into the society and the structure and whatnot. It's everything from like planning irrigation ditches to going to war and whatnot. It all involves the priesthood too. The Alwain are a little unusual in the fact that, for one, they only have one, or the Lowathi believe in one god, and they believe that there are priests and priestesses who are kind of their ways of communicating with that one god. But they don't have the same prominent position. They don't occupy the life of everyone the way that the Gerwa priesthood does.
Mm-hmm.
So they would probably go and pray up there to Alwain, and there's probably services they have. The same type of things, similar to what the Gerwan priesthood does, but it's not as ubiquitous. It's not as impacting every level of society the way that Gerwan faith does.
Well, I think that's another. Yeah, I think it's a good. We should maybe talk to them because they will know what's going on in their culture, even if it isn't as quite as structured as it used to.
You know that, and maybe one of the things, a different way of putting it, is that the Kahar, the priesthood, the Kahar definitely have an important place in the structure. There are secular leaders who are the leaders of the Alwain, but the Kahar and the rest of the priesthood of Alwain, they have a very important and influential role. So the local Kahar would likely also have a significant sway over the village.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, I think that's definitely a place to go look. Probably, well, not sure if I want to climb up tonight because it looks a little treacherous, but tomorrow morning seems like.
So let's say there's one more place you guys could go before night falls. Where would you like to go?
Let's take one of the houses.
Yeah, let's go to the one by the Redsmith, this one down here.
So the Redsmith was the second disappearance, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, this Redsmith. Yeah, Deshi, the second one.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you guys easily make your way through town as well, too. The few people that you see are sort of avoid you. You get into a busier, or at least a more dense part of the village as well, too. You can see. So the Redsmith has a decent-sized area to craft weapons and armor for the guards, as well as the tools the village needs. There are 2 apprentices and a journeyman who help this squat and strong-looking Lowathi man working. But as soon as one of the apprentices kind of seems distracted and watching you guys go by, the Redsmith is like, hey! And forces them to pay attention and get back to work. He spares a look over at you that's not... It's a hard look. And you're not sure if that's a hard... because he's a hard man, or whether there's something more behind it. But you were easily able to find your way to the house that Zakar was using. That Deshi was using. Mm-hmm. So when you get into the house, it is a simple affair. Something that it's the kind of like wood and plaster and white walled, a thatch roof, and there is no... Tell me a little bit about how you're going to be looking around in here, too. It's really only 2 rooms, and there's not much on the surface. Like, there's nothing that is obviously disturbed or knocked over.
Yeah, so after we kind of glance around to see, signs of violence, destruction, anything like that, which sounds like there isn't anything like that, Gerard will be kind of trying to examine, like... what, among other things, what there is in terms of like amenities, for lack of a better term. Like, did it look like this guy kind of like lived here, or was this just the place he slept? That sort of thing.
So two things that you find in here. For one, you find next to the bed, in the white wall, there is a name that is carved. Hold on, there wouldn't be a name. There is like a crude drawing or sketch kind of thing of a woman. What you also find, why don't you guys each give us a perception check, please? Okay. So, Meng 2. Maybe when Gerard, or maybe it's Meng 2, you look over and see that this is there's that carving in the wall, and you kind of kneel down on the reed kind of bedding, and are looking at this, or straw and reed kind of bedding, and looking at this thing, and you look back to speak to Gerard, and you can see something under the table. The earthen floor that's in here, the reeds that are sort of cast around to sort of, make the place more comfortable to walk on, they don't extend underneath the kitchen table. And underneath the table, the earth looks like it has been disturbed.
So there's nothing significant about the sketch of the person.
No.
Well,
But I'll point out the disturbed earth. Maybe I will, using my dagger or something, I'll just try and move it around a bit, see if anything's buried in there. I'll just carefully try and scrape it away and see if there's anything down there.
full-on Bronze Age archaeology.
Yeah. Okay, so what you start scraping through there, and very quickly your dagger hits something metal, and you sort of scoop it up, and what you find buried in there is a silver ring shaped like a wrapped whip. And you'd guess this thing is probably in the neighborhood of about 100 shekels.
Maybe he just stored his valuables down there. But
if you keep digging
I'll
in,
have a...
Yeah, so if you keep digging in, what you find, there's buried here, there's that 100 silver shekel ring shaped like a wrapped whip. There's a fine trouge bow with 12 arrows. There is fine scaled armor that has bloodstains on it. And that appears to be it. Yeah. But it is...
Can I check which culture the armor comes from?
The armor, it's definitely not Gerwa. You can give us a culture or other culture check, if you like.
Or I'll say to Jared, is this Luafi type armor? Or
Well, both roll. Yeah, go ahead, both roll.
Other...
It's your roll. Yeah, it's a Luathi. It's a Luathi, probably made in town.
Yeah.
That's worth a lot of money.
Standard stuff.
But
that's better armor than what most of the guards have been wearing, right? They've been in leather.
Correct.
Versus this is bronze scale.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Redsmith might know more, but the bloodstains are interesting. Do they look, presumably quite old bloodstains by this point?
Well, let's ask, do the bloodstains look like they happened a long time ago, or are they like almost like barely there?
The bloodstains are on the outside of the armor.
Oh, so it looks like it splashed on it. It's not like someone... So the armor's intact. There's no like rents where someone's been stabbed and it's...
Yep, it's completely intact.
Okay.
Nice. Though he'll probably say it's not as good as the Gur ones.
So what do you guys think of that? What do you make of that?
Well, maybe he's well, maybe it's his stash, or maybe he's stolen it from someone. Maybe if the guards aren't that well regarded. But it could just be his like private little treasure chest. But you'd have thought it would have been hidden a bit better if it was like someone's actual prized possessions. So this earth looks like it's been done quite quickly.
It was not difficult for you to spot.
Yeah. So it wasn't like someone had built a sort of a little hidden place in their house. That's interesting.
Just because since we did our culture checks, do we know anything about the significance of like a wrapped whip as a sign?
There's no cultural meaning to that necessarily.
No cultural meaning to that. Yeah. Okay.
Just a stylized decision.
Just a stylistic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess what I was wondering is if it's like a broad thing since they owned the place for a while.
Yeah. Not one of that, no.
Okay. Well, then, and a fine bow and arrows. I guess we didn't ask if there's a Bowyer or Fletcher here, but they wouldn't have made, because you said it's probably a Trouge bow to our understanding, right?
That's
not likely a local thing.
Exotic high tech in our terms.
You may think it's inferior to Gerwa bow or a Ger bow, because the thing that's the advantage of the Trouge bow is it can be used from horseback. The others cannot. It is, but I mean, you guys have not been to the marketplace yet, so who knows?
Yeah, so might be.
And also, this could have been something that Deshi had picked up beforehand.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was thinking, is if Deshi was like a jackal beforehand or a wolf beforehand, that this might be from that.
Yep.
We haven't even asked. I realized we haven't asked if all of the men, the 4 men, were actually Luwathi.
The 4 men were.
I think we asked whether they were all locals, and I think.
Well, so the captain, the Nazi, implied that they were all locals, but we didn't ask the townspeople, who seemed to think that they were outsiders, at least of this town, that they were Luwathi, but they were not from around here. Okay, well,
do we want to speak to the Smith about the armor, or maybe leave it till we've done some more investigating?
Well, I want to investigate around here just a little bit more. What kind of I'm wondering if how would I put this? Mingtu, you look for something. I'm gonna look around a little more and state what I'm looking for in just a minute when I can decide how to say it.
What are you thinking, Mingtu? What does this suggest?
So the house, did it look like it had been left in a hurry, or did it look like, literally...
there was nothing knocked over. There was no sign of violence or disturbance in here. But it does not look like these things were buried long. I mean, the ring, it would be difficult to tell, but there's no corrosion on the armor. The bow seems to be in good form still. It was likely wrapped in a cloth of some kind, but there's been no deterioration or anything.
And there's a door on the front, right? We can't just see in from the street or anything.
Correct.
Yeah. And any windows on the house at all?
There are, but there would be some kind of reed covering that would go over.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm assuming at this point we'll have lit a lamp. Are there any lamps there that we could light?
And there still is light. If you got the reed things up, you can still see in here. Lamps in this setting give off tons of smoke and sputtering light. They really, it's something that they talk about in the setting information too. This is very much intended to play up everything about a Bronze Age kind of setting. So you can definitely, there is one in here, and there is still oil in it as well.
So actually there's a 2-room house, so there's a sleeping area and a kitchen, living area, presumably.
Correct.
Yeah. Does he have...
Are there any other areas of loose earth?
If you search around, you rolled good enough on your perception. Looking around, you can't find anywhere else, no. Though if you were
How
standing the where the situation, like the place where the table is, you would not have spotted it. It's only because you kneeled down to look at that carving on the wall.
So the carving on the wall, is there any, it's just a woman? Is there any like distinctive feature about the woman that might help us identify her?
There is a long braid,
Okay.
which is sort of etched around the side, and that would suggest younger.
But not like a child, like an adult woman, but on the young side.
Or something on the cusp.
On the cusp. Okay. Um,
So maybe he had family.
a family or a girl in town or something. Certainly, young men living alone.
So you're
All that
standing, maybe like you moved into the other room trying to think, Gerard. And you get to you still don't put the fans down, and looking out, you can see the smith, the redsmith, at work as well. Looks like they're wrapping up their day as well. He's giving instructions to his apprentice, to the journeyman. And then you see from the house a young girl come running out. And her braid is sort of moving behind her. She runs up and says something. And the way that he embraces her makes you think that there is a familial thing there.
Yeah, Redsmith's daughter or niece or something like that,
And
probably.
you can see at the door to their house is his wife, or you're assuming his wife.
Yeah. Okay. One last question before we go over to the Redsmith. I'm wondering about like cups and plates and basically like stuff around here. It looks like it's just like one person or like enough to entertain almost is kind of what I'm asking.
This is a bachelor's home.
Yep.
Most definitely.
Like my apartment.
Yeah.
So they're all mismatched. They're not well.
Well, for one,
the concept of a set in Bronze Age.
You guys have had temporary lodgings before. This strikes you as temporary lodgings.
Yeah. Well, and he's only been here for less than 6 months, according to Shuma. So.
Correct.
All right. Well, then I'll call to Minktu and start walking over to the Redsmith, see if we can maybe even intercept him with him still outside before walking in.
Yeah, I think he wants when you guys are making your way over, the girl says something. And his head kind of snaps around, and he sees you approaching, followed shortly by Minktu. He says something to her in Lawathi. You will understand it. So it's inside.
All right.
Where is it here? Inside Tawara. And she turns and kind of scampers towards the mother. The mother has a hard look on her face too. You can see that she shares some of her husband's sternness, and he turns. He is middle-aged. He has long hair pulled back out away from his face. Very strong man as well, and he has not at his in his hand, but right near resting on a desk is a very heavy-looking hammer that you saw him swinging with very little effort.
Yep.
He looks over at you, and he's not like you would likely tower over him, Gerard. You're taller than what he is. It's just that he's very strong.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
he says, "Good evening."
Yeah. So I'll say well met and blessings have all waned upon your house. My name is Gerard, and this is my associate Minktu.
And the blessings of Alwayn on you.
We're investigating what happened to Deshi, your neighbor.
He is speaking in Lawathi, by the way.
Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna start. I'm gonna keep that up, and maybe every once in a while I'll say to Minktu just a couple words to to make it clear what I'm asking, but I really want to stay on this guy's good side.
Okay. So you walk up, and he nods and says, "Okay."
Sounds like it happened a couple of weeks ago when Deshi disappeared. Do you know anything about what happened?
About him disappearing?
About him disappearing, or even about him before he disappeared. The trail is rather cold, so you can understand why we might be interested in.
No, I don't. I don't know anything. And Mengtu, you don't speak the language, but you can, for one, pick up that he's definitely wanting to hide something, and you can see the looks that immediately pass between the apprentices and the journeymen who are working there. Like they, they look at each other and then look at you and then quickly look away and busy themselves with the tasks that have been assigned to them by the Redsmith.
So I will say in Luwathi, but I'll say, do you mind, or if you are able, could we speak in Howls so that my companion can join the conversation, if you understand it?
Okay. Why don't you give me an influence check, please?
All right. Influence. Getting my mileage out of influence today.
Okay. So he looks back and forth. Now, you've already used your cultural virtue today, right?
I have.
Okay. So he looks back and forth and says, in broken howls, "I will try."
Well, thank you. And I'm hoping. Did any of the apprentices or anybody make like a sign that they could listen in when he's spoken howls? I guess. Oh, I'm trying to. Part of the idea is to speak in a way that they won't understand, as well as Mingtu will.
Yeah. Okay. He looks and rather than addressing your question, he says, "Who sent you?"
Well, we're the Nasi is paying us to find whatever happened to these men, the disappearances.
I had nothing to do with the disappearances.
No, I'm sure that's the case.
Then I don't know how I could help.
Well,
everything
you say will be in strictest confidence. If you'd like to go somewhere a bit more private.
Why don't you give us an influence check there, Mank, too? And you got that honey tongue as well, too, yeah.
Influence. So that.
Okay. That is not the kind of...
Okay,
so it's not a fumble.
A fail, but not a fumble.
Yeah, do you wish to spend a fate point to re-roll?
Yes, let's try that again.
Okay. Did you spend a fate point earlier, Mo?
Oh, I don't think we did. We discussed it, and then
I spent a fate point, but
Gerard fumbled. I didn't.
Oh, okay. So that is likewise a fail. So I don't think. So he says, "I'm fine here. I don't know anything. I don't know how I could help. I had nothing to do. He never came around here." And
yeah, but he did live nearby.
He spares a look back at his wife and the child, and you get the sense that there's definitely more going on here. Yeah. And she looks at him, and you don't need to roll for it, but you see she does a quick kind of like shaking of her head, like, don't.
Yeah. So, all right. How do I?
Well,
okay.
I'm going to suggest that this seems to be going on a lot, and we've noticed the town is on edge. The sooner we get to the bottom of this, the sooner the town can get back to a more normal life, I think.
I'll say, adding on to the end of that, if something happened with Deshi, you don't need to necessarily tell us now, but it would be useful to understand that that was the case. What I'm trying to tell him is he can deny it, but
Yeah.
if he doesn't say anything, I'm reading.
While
like,
Jared's doing that, I'll keep an eye on the others.
So
See if any of the journeymen or apprentices or the wife is watching and
Yeah.
reacting. He just said.
the wife in particular is watching like a hawk. She has forced the daughter to go inside, but you can kind of see the daughter, like when curtains kind of to the side listening in. The apprentices are clearly the Redsmith has put a bit of fear into them because they are busying themselves, and are once they gave that sort of obvious like whoa reaction, they've now busied themselves so they don't fuck up again for fear of attracting his ire. But I think what you hear him say, Gerard, is he mutters under his breath another prayer to Alwyn, like and. I mentioned before we kind of dove into this that like there are some Lowathi, although the faith of Alwyn and the Kahars have a really influential part to play in the society. It doesn't mean that just like in our world, like there's a variety of different levels of devotion.
Yeah,
This is someone who clearly believes like really fervently. If the way he's mentioning something unconsciously under his breath, as he turns and says, "The guards, all four, would not leave. They made my daughter fearful. In particular," and she gestures that hammer's now in his hand, and he points it over in the direction of Deshi's home. That one. But and he turns to you, pointing, with the hammer. I had nothing to do with it. And he seems as if he's going to say something more and then catches himself.
I'm sure that's the case. Did you speak to the Nasi at all about their...
No.
Yeah.
He was the one who brought them here. And you are his agents now. Will you be staying too? He stops and looks at you. What do you mean complicated?
I cannot speak for my friend Minktu, but for myself, I'm more interested in helping the town than helping the Nasi, if that makes sense.
His eyes kind of get bigger, and he looks at the two of you. You're jackals.
Yeah, but, we're sure the town will be suitably grateful if there's something going on that they need help with, too.
He actually seems hopeful with that. He leans in and says something in Lowathi, and he says, "Do you swear by Alwyn that this will not get back to the Nasi?"
I do.
He looks, and he has a pained look on his face, and he says, the night before the first of them disappeared, I went and I prayed. I prayed that Alwyn would kill them. All four of them. I prayed with every fiber I had. I prayed that they would die. And he kind of steps back. He's got a bit of he looks a lot more fragile than he did when you first met him.
Yeah.
And he spares a look back, and you can see now his daughter, her face is fully exposed by the curtain. She closes it and retreats back, and his wife has a look of it's not anger or anything like that. It's more a shared pain. you know, what do you do?
I'll thank him very much for his confidences,
Well,
and we
but
will.
he spoke in Luwathi. You didn't
Oh,
understand
so-
any of that.
All right. Well, I'll tell him. From the sound of it, it is fortuitous that Alwyn answered your prayers, complicated as it may be.
He looks and says, and now this will be in howls. They were monsters.
Yeah. Do you know anything about where the Nasi may have found them, or where he went 6 months ago?
I only know that they were strangers to this village.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where. As was Hano when he returned.
Can you elaborate on that?
He is only not the man he was. The man I knew would not have brought such men here.
The rest of the guards, do you trust them?
They are creatures of Namo now. But they are not the monsters that those four were.
Okay.
The Namo, he made me craft armor for them, setting them above their fellows.
Scale mail?
You've heard them.
All right.
I had nothing, I swear by Alwyn, I had nothing to do. But I prayed for their deaths.
Yeah, I understand. Do you know if there's anyone else who might have, or how many other people felt similarly about these four guards? Is it something that the whole town might have prayed to?
Some may, whether they prayed for it, I could not say. But there are none who mourn their deaths here. One of them, I hear, stole from the merchants, was caught.
Okay. Well, Mingtu, do you have any? And I'm not gonna tell Mingtu specifically about what he said, but I'm gonna switch back to Howls and say
He's been speaking in howls now.
For the second part.
Okay. When he said that they were monsters from that point forward, he's been speaking in howls.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So I think we ought to maybe talk to some of the merchants then.
I think talking to the merchants is probably a good idea. Yeah. I think talking to the priests is probably a good idea.
But,
that all sounds like excellent plans, guys. That we'll have to do in our next session.
Yep.
The time has flown by, but as we close out the session, let's do what we always do. Guys, take a look through, and what I'd like you to do is one at a time, one then the other. We're going to go back and forth, and we're going to roll for passive advancements.
Okay, no, I think you first.
All right, I will roll for trade first.
Okay.
Hey,
Nice!
3%.
So a 61. And remember, if you guys have traits that will apply, make sure to roll that, because a fumble gives you more skill points than what a failure does. With a trade check at 91 to 60, your trade is now a 63. It goes up by 3.
Nice.
Okay. Mo, roll for one of yours.
Right, so influence.
Okay. Come on. Oh, jeez.
No.
And
Okay.
Honeytongue won't help you with that, unfortunately. And then Arlen, what's your next one?
All right, culture own.
Very nice.
Hey.
Okay. For 45, that's up by 5. You have a 50 in own culture now.
Nice.
Mo, go for your next roll.
Okay, that would be perception.
Okay. Fuck.
I'm not really good at this, right?
Oh, jeez. Then Arlen, what's your next one?
Also perception for me. Oh, and I
So
don't
close.
have. I've got perception for avoiding ambushes, but not for general
Not
perception.
for general, okay. And then
Yeah.
Mo, do you have one more?
Yeah, I have culture other,
Okay.
which
Good
Oh.
Lord. Oh, come on, Dice.
Yeah, and I've got one more if you haven't got any.
Yeah, I've got one more too.
Yeah. Okay.
So influence.
Influence.
Oh,
Nice. So influence goes up by 5. You have a 51 in influence now. Here we go, Mo. This is your time to
Nice.
shine. Crit fail.
Right,
Come on.
ancient law.
Oh, no, ancient lore you can't raise that way. Ancient lore you can only raise by me giving you extra points.
Right. Okay. In that case, I'm done.
Okay.
all right.
That was a bit of a
Excellent.
bad.
So then,
Oh, well.
guys, that brings us to the end of our first proper full session playing Jackals. So,
Do we get any active advancements too?
those you get at the end of an adventure.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep, yep. So what I'll say is you guys can actually mark down one active advancement from just playing today.
Sounds
Because you get
good.
one for participating, I'll probably just give one per session. We tend to play through adventures slower than what the recommended pace is. So you guys will each, I don't know how many, I think you guys may have 1 or 2 from the previous session too, so definitely keep track of that.
Yeah, I don't think we had an active one from that previous session I was in. It was just
Okay.
passive.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get through the first fight, I guess.
Yeah,
All right.
I already spent my 1 from the last session to make myself even more of a melee beast.
Nice. Excellent. All right, then. So for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for this first. It's the Wolves Within the Walls is what I've called it. There's a different name for it in the core rulebook, but I've changed the name for reasons that I will talk about after we finish up the session. As is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding, let me actually bring us back to the main menu here. Boom. Regarding the game, the adventure we're playing, or the individual session, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section of the video, and I will endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. In addition, you can find a link in the description of the video to the Dungeon Musings Discord, where we have channels dedicated to, we don't have to this game yet. Actually, I might do that today, because I got to change it over for that charity session anyway, and I will add one in maybe for Jackals. We also have channels dedicated to finding a group, to every other game we run on the channel, most versions of D&D, tons of great people, tons of great conversations. You are more than welcome to join us over there. In addition, you can find me on Twitter at Dungeon Musings, and you can find me on by email. My email address is dungeonmusings@gmail.com. You can also find a link in the description of the video to something called Heroes Save Villages. That is the charity fundraising campaign we run on the channel. And from now until April 1st, only about another 2 weeks' time, for every $25 that you donate, you get one chance to win the grand prize in our first charity raffle of the year, or one of the other awesome prizes. The grand prize is a copy of Beetle and Grimm's Platinum Edition Icewind Dale Rime of the Frost Maiden. Second prize is one of Beetle and Grimm's Silver Edition Icewind Dale Rime of the Frost Maiden. There's a bunch of information I've got on the channel. There's a whole video unboxing both of those you can find on there. And if you don't win those, you still can also win a Chainmail Dice Bag, a copy of the City of Mist starter set, the brand new product that just came out from Son of Oak Studios. You can win a copy of the wooden dice tray. You can win some prizes from the Dungeon Musings Red Bubble Shop, some zines from our buddy Jason Hobbs. And best of all donations go directly to SOS Children's Villages International, a really amazing organization active in over 130 countries that benefits over 80,000 orphaned and abandoned children from around the world. So it's a terrific way to support some kids who could really use some help and get a chance to win some cool gaming stuff. And you also, if you head over to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel, you can also find, under the Charity Initiatives tab, other ways to participate in what's happening on the channel with your donations. You can vote on what games we're going to play, and you can spend the money that you have donated to help outfit our heroes for the charity session. So right now we still have voting going on for another 2 weeks for our next charity session, which is going to be a dark fantasy session. The games on offer are Shadow the Demon Lord, The Witcher, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition, and the current leader, Simbaroom. So, that's also another way you can, we can say thanks to the people who donate for the SOS Children's Villages International Charity through the Heroes Save Villages campaign. But anyway, and last thing I will say is a huge thank you to my 2 players. So guys, thank you so much for taking up the mantle of your Jackals again and undertaking this strange mystery in the Land of Risings. The adventure we're playing is actually from, I'm making a couple modifications, but it's from the core rulebook, so you can find that in there. Mo and Arlen, thank you so much for playing today. So for those listening at home, thank you again for joining us for this Bronze Age adventure. We hope that this finds you healthy, safe, and weathering the current crisis as well as can be expected if you're joining us live or around the time of the recording. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.